All right, my loves. Y'all know I gotta check. Y'all know I gotta check to make sure we live.
Oh, that's fine. I'm thinking I should have brought my cell phone stand. I didn't even think about that.
You should have.
It's in my car. Yeah.
My goodness. I'm just double checking that we're live and then we're gonna dive into the interview because it's not saying that we are on the phone. Usually the
Do I
phone does
do
take
I
a
need
while
to
to.
switch to my laptop?
No, you're good. You're good. I always double check because if you have followed this journey that I've been on for the talk show, there's always some technical difficulties, but it says we're alive. So we are live. Hello, 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 my loves, and welcome to the Carter Love Talk Show. Today we have Deshaun James on, and you know how we like to start off. I always start off with how we met, and you guys know that majority of the people who have came on this talk show are people that I have met online, I've networked online, or people that I've never met in person. So this is another one of those guests that I met. Oddly, this is a guest that I met on TikTok, and we became friends a couple of years back. Got to know a little bit more about his career, and I was like, I gotta have you on the show. Once I had the show, I was like, yes, we need your knowledge.
I need the knowledge. That good knowledge. That good knowledge.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about what you do.
All right. Well, my title is Associate Director of Griffin High School Math and Science Program. So I work for a TRIO program. TRIO is basically comprised of programs like Upward Bound Math and Science, and Talent Search. The objective for those three programs is this college preparatory program. Our purpose is to get first generational and low income students into college to change the dynamics of their lifestyle. So it's a passion. You got to have a big passion for it because you're dealing with underserved, underprivileged children that they have a lot of doubts in their life. They have a lot of doubts on everyday life, so they're unsure about the decisions they make. So you
Yes.
have to stay on top of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. That's
So I
awesome.
always call me and my colleagues life coaches for children
Yes.
on
That's
a daily
awesome.
basis.
That's awesome. So, what are the biggest challenges that you see students facing when it comes to preparing for college?
The biggest challenge is they don't know what
Mm,
it takes to go to college. That because when you hear first generation, some people don't know what first generation means. First generation means they are the first to actually go and graduate. Now, does not mean your parents has never went to college or never attended a college. It just means they'll be the first to try to graduate. Once you graduate, you're no longer a first generation in that line.
mhm.
So it's the knowledge, it's the number one thing. Then it's the discouragement of some of these kids deal with teachers, community leaders, or or just household families that doesn't support them. So support
Yeah.
system is the next part. So you have to be very supportive of them, and I know as we'll get more in depth with the conversation when we get further into this interview, that what are those discouragements they have. But those are the challenges, is dealing with their discouragements.
Okay. Okay. So, can you tell us what are some of those discouragements and how do you guys support that and how can we support that?
Well, as anybody, if you're paying attention to, I'm sorry, who we have in office right now, that's one of the discouragements right there, is to basically, because it's a federal funded program. So
Hmm.
being as federally funded, a lot of these opportunities or schools are not afforded this program because of certain dynamics that are being made. A program like this should be in every school. It shouldn't have to be in rural schools or schools with low test scores and everything else, or low suburban or rural areas. It should be in every school because I feel as a nation we don't prep our young adults. When I say teenagers, I said young adults. I
Yeah.
call them young adults in training because once they get to the high school level, they are preparing to become an adult, whether it's going to be in the workforce world, working trade, whether they join the military or whether go to college, regardless of anything else. We may call them kids, but they're still adults.
Yeah. 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 So what in what ways does this program support them? Like an example. Let's give an example.
So biggest things that we support them is tutoring. We give them tutoring resources where
Mhm.
we can find books or we find online tutoring apps, everything else like that. We connect them with their teachers. Um, by connecting with their teachers, that's where the most part of it is, because it's not the fact that these kids need, like, any extra help. It's just they don't have the support of the teacher, or not even just the support. They don't have the understanding that they can go to their teachers to get for help. That's the
Mm.
number one challenge we have. They don't know how to ask for help. They think
Yeah.
it's a pride thing. They think nobody really wants to help them. And nobody wants to, look at it the way that they see it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
other resource we do, to help the families, my particular organization that I work for, Community Teen Coalitions, we have like food drives, we have like career fairs, all that stuff. We do college fairs just to open the eyes of what is out there. Exposure is everything. That's
Yeah.
another thing we do for for the youth. We expose them to many things. Once they're
Mhm.
exposed, it makes it easier for them to understand when we talk about things. People who live in rural areas and certain areas, and you try to explain to something they're not used to, they will never know
Yeah.
what it is, and it's not understanding because they've never been exposed to it. So
Mhm.
that's the biggest thing we try to do is expose them educationally, academically, and we let them know career wise.
Yeah.
These are careers you can do. Like when you take students to a football game, we don't look at it as you're just going to see the game. We go, let's look at the job market that's in the game. Look in a stadium, in a football stadium. You know how many jobs there?
Yeah.
So that's the things we focus on. We focus on the academic and career side of the event. When we take them out on the event, it's not just for them to go have fun, it's them to
Mhm.
learn what is available to them. When you think about a football game, there's grounds people, there's electronics, there's tech. Now there's drones being flown over
Yeah.
stadiums now, there's pyro. There is people, janitorial services. There are food services, managerial, team, team resources, or like not athletic director, athletic trainers. People who are good in sports who didn't make it to professionally, but they become a trainer, they become a coach, they
Mhm.
become somebody that takes care of the equipment managers, and everything. There's so many jobs.
Yeah.
Even when you move to a basketball or a baseball field, hockey, anything else, when you think of that connection to sports, it's all about careers. What
Yeah.
career into it? Even engineering. There's a lot of engineering that comes in when it comes to building these stadiums or building these arenas and everything else. Medical field, sports medicine, it's there. Think of every aspect. When we take these scholars somewhere, or we take them to a theater. What happens in a theater? You got drama. Drama's bigger thing. Seat sales. Marketing, management. There's so many things tied to education. Nobody focuses on that part when it's time to teach the youth.
Yeah.
So those are the things how we expose them, and we give them resources and everything else, to understanding that college is important, because it's not
Mhm.
about actually the degree in most cases. It's about the experience of
Yeah.
learning and the social networking. Getting to know people, getting to understand the industry.
Mhm.
Because a lot of great minds come from college. A lot
Yeah.
of them do come from education. Now, there's a lot of great minds that don't come from education as well, but they don't have the same experience, or they had to go a longer and harder road than most of those who go through college, where you
Mm.
meet a lot of people, because you might meet your next business partner, is y'all might create something amazing. Whereas most people that don't go to college, you run into people, you go through the trials and tribulations, but that just means you work hard. They worked hard to get to where they're at. Not saying you don't work hard when you go to college, but you have a different path
Yeah.
when you
Yeah.
have education. And as we tell most of these kids, like, they want to be entrepreneurs and everything else. Even my own daughter, I tell her, I gave her an idea. Like, she's a beautiful artist. You know, she does hair, she does cosmetology. But I said, you want to get that business degree or get at least an associate's in business so you understand how it works.
Yeah.
So, so nobody can talk you out of what you know.
Yeah.
You don't want nobody to have the advantage of, knowing dynamics that you don't know. And then you have this big time business guy that got his or her MBA somewhere, and you just look like you don't know what they're talking about. And that kind of deflates the business transaction. So you want to be
Mhm.
just as smart as your competition as well.
Yeah. 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 I love that. That's perfect. So for those students who don't have a program like this, how can parents or relatives or family friends, how can they support students on this journey to college, even
The
before
number
high school?
the number one thing is just exactly what it is: support them. So what a lot of adults like to do, they like to use their old phrase like where they came from. This is what we did. Blah 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 blah. You
Hmm.
got to realize these scholars are in a different era, and
Yeah.
there's so many more job opportunities on what they love. When I say what they love, if they love to pet fish all day, there are jobs with pet and fish that need degrees. It's called marine biology. If like my son, my youngest son, he loves animals. So, I support his love for animals, which means it can go support for his career. You
Yeah.
have to support what they love. Gaming. I know a lot of parents get mad with all the electronics and the TikToks and all that stuff, but there are avenues of job markets when it comes to these
Yeah.
actual loves. If your kid loves to play games, okay, you can code in a game. You can do more than just code. You can create mechanical engineering. All this. There's so many degrees that go into building a game.
Yeah.
Artists, everything else, voiceovers. Being an actor, you can be in the game. There's so many things that go in everything we have today. So the number one I say is support the child.
Hmm.
Then after support, you want to give them the space to learn.
Yes.
Give them the space to learn and understand. Don't pressure them to the point where they get frustrated. Remember, they're young adults in training, means they haven't developed the mind yet to make things happen mentally. You know, there's some that do. You be surprised at what these young scholars can get
Yeah.
themselves into. Some of them will surprise you. Some amazing, smart, intelligent young men and women in this world that have ideals like crazy.
Hmm.
But a lot of people shut them down because they don't get the support because they always feel like, well, you don't know anything because this is what the real world. They always use that. This is the real world. I even use it sometimes, but I use it when it comes to a reality check. Like, you think you're able to do something. Did you think it through? So the key word is talking with them, not
Yeah.
talking at them.
Yes. Yes.
And so as I work with teens on a normal basis, and I've been working with youth, shoot, that's for a long time. I didn't realize how long I've been, after I got out the military, I think as soon as I got out of the military, I was working with youth. It's
Yeah.
been since 2014, but I was working with youth before that as well.
Yeah.
So my 11 years outside of the military, I've been working with nothing but youth. And then before that, I used to volunteer at Special Olympics and everything else like that. And what I found to learn is that they're young adults in training. You have to treat them like that, and they have to learn lessons. They have to
Yeah.
learn. They have to learn how things work. But that is your job as a parent, as a community leader, to support the learning from them. Like, we always say, us, our generation, or generation before us, was like, we was never taught how to do real estate. We was never taught how to do this. These kids don't care. These kids is like, I want to come out and be a real estate
Yeah.
agent. I want to
Yeah.
come out and be a insurance salesman. Off the top. Now we're talking about juniors, sophomores, and juniors in high school because some of those traits are actually needed. To know you need life insurance, to know how to purchase a home, know how to
Yeah.
purchase a car, know how to do taxes, know how to, the basic things of life. Now we do workshops like that as well to teach them many things about life goes on. We mostly focus on college though. College
Hmm.
is definitely number one priority that they that the program is for. You know, they are to go to college and graduate within 6 years of them going into college.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because the discouragement of a first generation or low income, they don't know the expectations
Yeah.
outside of where they're from.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to ask next, because the thing is, I think some parents don't even know, like, what are the steps to get to college. I know for me, my mom didn't know. My teacher was like, "Hey, what college are you getting are you, have you applied to?" I'm like, "I haven't applied to any." And she helped me. She helped me apply, and she wrote me a letter of recommendation, got me in and
Mhm.
everything. But everyone doesn't have that. Like you said, it's hard to ask for help. Not to mention, I didn't even ask for help. She asked me. You know what I'm saying? So for those of us who don't know, what are the steps we take on the road to
First
college?
and foremost, we always connect you with your counselor. You have to make your counselors work, your school counselors. They are supposed to be the first line to that knowledge, right?
Hmm.
Um, but here's the thing: find out what your scholar loves. What do they have a passion for? All right. When you find what their passion is, and it's something you can see them doing for a long time, then you look up a college, not just a particular college. Everything is a simple search. You know, we work in technology like
Yeah.
crazy. It's a simple Google. List me the top 25 business schools. List me the top 25 mechanic engineering schools. List me the top five nursing schools. Whatever school, or top five gaming schools, because it's going to come up, you
Yeah.
know, whatever you feel the career path is, you look up the schools for it. Then they're going to tell you what the schools are. All right. So when they tell you what the schools are, then you have to read. You have to read the requirements and everything else. So things we're talking about is GPA. Most schools, they'll accept you at a 2.3 at the lowest. But nowadays, competition is getting tough when it comes to these schools. But you can get in on a C average 2.3 and above. Okay. All right, so when you get in on that average or above, then your next step is to find out what is the GPA requirement, and then what is the testing requirement, ACT or SAT. You
Hmm.
know, for a while we went to a lot of schools went to no test option. Some of them still do. But now that the pandemic has been over, we had some years that passed by. Now they're going back to um, testing. But testing is not only just for them to get accepted into school. It's, it also, if you test very high and you have a good academics GPA, then they start giving you merit scholarships and everything else. Basically, getting the school will pay for you to come to school. All right. Once you find your school, once you find what your career goal, you find your major. And if you don't even have a major yet, if you're just unsure, then I would suggest going to a local school like a community college just to get your general courses out the way. A community college or a local trade college or something like that, just to get general classes out the way until you figure out what your career path is going to be. You usually have up to a year and a half to 2 years while you're in college before you start have to take major courses. Um, or you can do things called interdisciplinary studies, which basically doesn't have a focus point, but it basically shows that you completed a degree.
Hmm.
All right, and that means you're well rounded to get in anything else you want to do. If you want to pursue a master's, or you want to say I have a bachelor's degree. Um, Next phase, people don't understand this: federal funding. I'll keep it at federal funding right now. There's a lot of other things that go on with that, but we'll just say federal funding. And that's to the FAFSA. You know, you have
Yeah.
to sign up, you have to register for FAFSA. FAFSA is where you get your grants, student loans, and the government. Well, not even the government. Here's the one mistake a lot of people make. The government does not issue a certain amount to you. What happens is you get what's called a I forgot the new term. When we was older, it was called the EIC. Now it's called a new different thing now. Basically determines your eligibility for grants, or how much funding you can get. That the government sends the school a certain amount of money. The school determines how much they're going to award you. That's the confusion. A lot of people say, well, the government's done it. The government's not giving you money. The government is sending it to the school. The school determines, according to your merit, your grade, and everything else, how much they're going to afford you or award you. There are some schools that will give you the full tuition loan, which you have to pay back, but they'll pay the whole thing, so you don't have to pay anything up at
Mhm.
all. You just got to pay it back after you get out of school. Or this, the standard most schools, they only give you like a certain amount, which is basically like a 1250 type thing, $1,250 for standard subsidized or unsubsidized loan. Um, and then that goes on top of grants, and it depends on your state. Your state
Yeah.
might give you money as well. So when you do all those, you register for all those programs. That's the next thing. Then I would say for parents, understand you have to build a college fund. You have to, because there's going to be surprise fees and everything that's going to come out. That's kind of discouraged, especially those who are first generation or low income. I'm not saying you have to save $1 million. I'm saying that every paycheck from your child being born all the way till they get graduate from high school, if you put $50 away in one interest bearing account, that money will be enough to cover any extra cost that your child's going to endure for the next 4 years during college.
Mhm.
And just because if your child is 16 right now, that still doesn't mean you don't have enough money. You'll have enough money to help them for that first year, in which while they're in school, you can find them a scholarship program that will help them. And that transitions to the next thing. You have to apply for these scholarships out here.
Mhm.
There are scholarships everywhere. There are Fortune 500 companies, there's corporations, everything else are trying to give away money. We know why they're trying to give away money, because it's a big tax break. People don't understand that. And the frustration of applying for these scholarships, it's a numbers game. If a million people apply for one scholarship, that's only offering 10 people a scholarship, what is your chances? Of course,
Yeah.
very low. But at the same time, the requirements are set in each scholarship. And what we tell our scholars, don't get discouraged about what's in the writing of the scholarship, because there's some people that don't apply for them. And if you're the only person that applied for the scholarship, guess who gets it?
Yeah.
Regardless if you meet the requirements or not. I tell my students that all the time. You have to put in the work. So, I mean, I don't know if anybody's ever known, but there's people like, was it 3 years ago? This young man in Texas, he took 2 hours a day, 4 days a week. All he did was put investment in himself, and he applied for scholarships. He got awarded $9 million in
Wow.
scholarships. That's money he keeps for himself. So basically, he could put himself through college. He can buy a house while he's in college. He can buy a car while he's in college. He's well taken care of.
Yeah.
And then there's another one in Maryland that got 1.5 million last year or the year before. I forgot what it is, but that's because they put in the work.
Yeah.
And so scholars, if anybody scholars are looking at this, you still have to put in the work. Everything is on you. That's another thing I tell my scholars, and I even tell my own children. At some point, you can't blame nobody but yourself.
Yeah.
You can't look at everybody's situation. You can't look at how your mom and dad are fending, how your uncles, everything else, because your actions dictates what happens. As a young adult, your actions dictate what happens. And
Yeah.
if you don't continue to do the right thing and continue to push yourself emotionally, mentally, academically, spiritually, then you got to understand the things that come at you negative is only comes from what you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but also community and parents, and for those, it's not a hard process. It's just dedication on both sides, the support team and the student.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that a lot. Honestly, shoot, the scholarship thing speaks to me because I need to apply to some scholarships myself.
Facts. We all
Man,
do. Like you in your master's program, doctor's program, there's scholarships for all of
yeah,
those programs. But
yeah,
people looked at like, I just got to take this loan, and I just don't think it's going to happen. There's scholarships for every level of education,
Yeah.
and there's always going to be scholarships because there's people that's trying to help others achieve. But like I said, the real reason is because they want tax write-offs. Let's just be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
These big time corporations, they're actually, me taking my business class now, I've learned, that these companies have to have programs that helps the community.
Yeah.
They have to. So
Yeah.
it's not even a question. So there's money out there to be had and to be made for you to go to school.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not just discouraging just for youth, parents. If you didn't go to college, this is your time to go back to school, get a degree, accomplish something. Because we always complain that we work for someone for 10 years, and then when some college kid comes in and only has a year of experience, and you're mad at them because they got the big time manager job over you. That's because education sells.
Yeah. Yeah.
It sells. I'm sorry. We live in a capitalist type nation. Education sells. If you
Yeah.
are educated and you have the documentation that you're educated, you will be looked at before anybody else that is not educated. That's just the way it works here in the United States.
Yeah. Yeah. That's for sure. That's for sure. And honestly, it, like you said, it's important to know that because I'm aware of the scholarships. I'm literally I'm in an honor society and they send me scholarships to apply to, and I just be sleeping on them, and I need to stop doing it. And I've been thinking about it because they
So
do.
you're talking about procrastination, and that is the number one killer of so many people in this nation.
Yes.
You
Yes.
procrastinate, so you miss your
Yeah,
opportunity.
for
The
sure.
opportunities are presented to you. So I would say you have to have a go get it attitude. When somebody presents you with an opportunity, you need to take it on the spot. Don't question it. That's another thing our first generational and low income kids do. They don't trust anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So when they see opportunity, they don't take it because they be like, I don't know, it might be a scam. Well, I don't know, they might be trying to do this, they might be doing that. Parents, they do the same thing. I don't know about this fast, but they're gonna come looking for me. If I make too much money, no. It doesn't matter how much money you make. It
Yeah.
just determines the amount of money that your scholar is gonna get when they go to
Yes.
college. That's
Yes.
all it is. Nobody's
Yes.
gonna come hunt for you or anything else like that. So but it's the same thing. Take advantage of opportunities.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of people out there that give away a lot.
Yeah. I think ultimately it's a mindset shift. It's like oh, I don't have time to do that because I'm doing this because I'm actually in school. It's a mindset shift. You have to make time for those things. Like you said, the opportunity is there. Take the time to apply. And I feel like in this process too, with our students, like you said, it takes dedication. It takes taking the time, making the time to do go through the process, go through the motions so that we can set up our students for
It's called investing into yourself
hmm
for the scholars. And if you're talking about the community or parents, it's called, I mean, we do a big investment with our kids. Our kids may not see everything that we do, and that's unfortunate because all they know is what's in front of them and what's ready for them and what's not ready for them, or what is given to them and what's not given to them.
hmm
So the understanding of due process of what we do as parents, investing in your kids is very important, but invest to the point that you're still guiding them.
yeah.
You're not investing to demand them of things. When they start demanding, you put pressure on them, and when you put pressure on them, they may be great scholars, but they get anxiety now. You
Yeah.
don't want to give them too much anxiety. You give them too much anxiety, they're going to doubt themselves, and then therefore, when they doubt themselves, it becomes a harder task for
Yeah.
them to complete roles. So it's academically, emotionally, spiritually, socially. There's so many ways to destroy a young mind that you have to be careful. That's why I use the word guide a lot.
hmm
Guide them. You want them to build the trust with you so they can go the distance on a lot of things. Continue to build the trust, continue to build a line of communication.
Yes.
Let them be able to come talk to you, you know, because once you allow them, let them talk to you, then you can understand what they're truly going through.
hmm
and then you can go get the help for them, or if you know how to help them, they will trust in your opinion. They will trust in your decision making and everything else.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I agree 100%. So what are some practical steps to teach teens financial literacy? Like, or not even financial, not even just financial literacy. Well, yeah, like, because the thing is, people get these financial aid checks, they get in college, and they go crazy, right? Parents, they, or even if they stay at home with their parents and their parents go crazy, right? Like,
All right, so I'm gonna tell you the right way. I'm gonna tell you the wrong way first.
okay.
If we're talking about financial literacy, okay, so what we're talking about, people don't understand on the line, right?
Yeah.
When she said checks and everything else, so financial aid can give you amount of money. It could end up giving you more than what you actually need, but it's still a line of support.
Yes.
So what we're talking about is a lot of young students, they'll take that money. Well, nowadays, kids will DoorDash it to death, and spend all that money on clothes, food, and everything else, not understanding that you're in school for a reason. So my advice, like I said, it's always an advice. I'm not telling you what to do. If you receive a certain amount of money in a refund check, because that's what Mrs. Carter is talking about. If you receive a refund check, you have to plan it out. It is still a source of money for school, not for everything else. Now it's different. The reason why I said the financial literacy is different, it's going to be different for every student. So the
Yes.
student, if you're rather on campus or if you're off campus, if you're a student that has children or don't have children, you have a lot of ways that that money can be used. So let's go to simple one. Let's just take a normal college student that is on campus, right?
Mhm.
You're not paying any bills. Let's be honest. You're not paying any bills. You want to keep that money into an interest bearing savings account or some interest bearing account. I always say there's nothing wrong with putting some money in your pocket. There's nothing wrong with that, right? But you want to put there's a called 50/30/20 rule. All right. So 50, of course, is your big asset that has to pay things off, right? But this aspect as a college student that doesn't pay any bills off, that you shouldn't have any debts, you put that money in your 20% pile. That 20% pile is your savings and investments. All right. So basically, you're gonna is now a 70/30. All right.
Yeah.
That 30%, you do whatever you want to do with it. That is up to you. You do whatever you
Yeah.
want to do with it because mental health is very important too. So
Yes.
basically, self care is important, having a good time, social life is important. So I'm not saying go out there and splurge and do everything crazy, but at the same time, I would say just go ahead and just have money to the side for you to enjoy things in life, right? Because you still earned it no matter what you're talking about.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about that student. We'll talk about myself now. We'll talk about that student that lived off campus and received refund checks. So you live off campus. What are things that you're doing? You're paying rent. Now you're paying bills. You got the light bill, water bill, trash, everything else. I suggest that the bulk of that bill is rent. If you get a large amount of money on a refund check, it should go towards your rent. If you
Mhm.
can pay through 2 to 3 months out, trust me, that is a burden lifted from you that basically helps you. And this is as young adults too.
Yeah.
I'm talking about mamas with 2, 3 children in the house and everything else, one child. If you're in school and you got that big refund check and everything else, put that thing towards rent because the idea of having a house could mess up your whole ability to focus in class. All
Yeah.
right. So that is definitely really important. But we're gonna still say about this 50/30/20 rule. That 50 rule, at 50 is to pay all expenses. So 50% of whatever it is goes to rent, paying off some debt, whatever it needs to do to get you above water and get you basically on a boat or on a ship that you're floating on water. Okay.
Mhm.
20% you want to put as an emergency fund. Emergency fund, if you have more than enough in emergency fund, then you can put it in a called a savings bearings account or interest bearings accounts or anything like that. Anything that's going to produce money on top of money without you touching it.
Yeah.
That's one way to do it. That 30%, take your kids out, have a good time, go buy them some clothes, go buy you some clothes, self care, everything else. That 30% is for you.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Sounds a lot like my budget.
Mm, mm, mm.
I'm a big budgeter.
Good, good. It's good. Yeah, hey, the question is, you're a budgeter, but are you disciplined?
I
You can
am
budget
disciplined.
all day. Okay, okay, ma'am.
I'm very
I hear
disciplined.
you. I hear you, ma'am. Okay, I hear
Listen,
you.
for a while I was too disciplined because I didn't have that self-care one. And I said,
Oh
Deshay, you
man,
need to have
you
this. So I
gotta
had to
self
get that
care.
in there.
You gotta have self care. You gotta
Yeah.
have it.
Yeah.
You
I
gotta
had
have
the
it.
basics, the basic hygiene. That was my that was my
Hmm.
self-care.
You gotta have it. If you don't have that self care, like, so a great guy told me, his name is David Kwan. He used to help me. I used to do financial literacy. And I always wanted to save the world. And the biggest thing he always told me is, if you can't do it yourself, why would you try to force it upon anybody else? So the biggest thing he was talking about is that I have to make and support myself to a point where I can give
Yeah.
out. So therefore, you have to build your own treasure in order to give treasure out.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. So, with connecting with the different students that you connect with, what are some of the most effective ways to reach your students or your scholars?
Hmm. That is an interesting question because I'm different. I'm very transparent with kids, but that's because I treat them as what I say, young
Yeah.
adults. I
Yeah.
don't treat them as kids. So I would say that is one of the biggest connects I have with kids, is because I don't treat them as kids. I treat them as young adults. So I hold
Yeah.
them accountable. Ooh, that A word. A lot of people don't like that word.
Yeah.
I hold them accountable for their actions, you
Yeah.
know? And, we talk, and I'll talk everything out with them and let them know, hey, this is how people perceive you because this is what you're doing, you
Mhm.
know? They'll turn and ask me, what about you? Or do you feel the same way? I'll say, maybe I might feel the same way, but I'm not going to discourage you with my process. My thing,
Yeah.
if it's not bothering me, then it doesn't bother me. But if it does bother me, I'll let you know, because as
Yeah.
adults, we address each other in proper communication.
Mhm.
So, going back to your question, how do I reach out to them? It's just, you got to talk. It's just
Yeah.
communication. It's simple communication. It's not
Yeah.
hard. People think it's hard to deal with teens because, let's be honest, people think of themselves when they were a teen. So that's the number one thing. So when you think of yourself, you think about how you were. That's how you know you can't be approached, or you can't approach teens, because you know how you were. You know, if you had a nasty mouth, you know if your hormones were going 300 miles per hour and you couldn't handle certain situations, you was emotionally driven, everything else. But you have to understand that these kids are willing to learn
Yeah.
from somebody that's ready to teach them and guide them. And they, trust me, even the most unruly teens respect those who respect them.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You
And that's
know,
it's yeah, that's literally when I worked with teens, that's what I did. I did think of myself, but I thought of how I felt when I was talked down to, when I was talked to like a child. And so I talked to them like they wanted me. And I
but the
listened to
biggest
them.
thing,
I
the biggest
listened.
thing, a lot of teens, I know I was one of those teens that I felt like I knew everything.
Mhm.
So you really couldn't tell me anything, but I was respectful, so I let you tell me it to me. So when it became to me, it became a asset that I learned to listen, even though I knew what was going on, because you might miss out on something. You might miss
Yes.
on a little
Mhm.
intrigue information that you may not have the knowledge, but you may miss the connecting points.
Yeah.
So that's what basically got me through life, is listening to people, analyzing people. Um, but not all teams are made the same.
Yeah, of course.
Some, yeah, there's some that, it doesn't matter what you tell them, they're gonna have a negative output.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some of them are positive about everything. They're absolutely giddy that you're even in their presence, because they don't get what's called attention.
Yeah. I don't know if he's still there. I think we lost our guest.
Hello, I'm back.
Go.
Hello? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Somebody tried to call. So unfortunately, yeah, that's what happened. So I apologize, but I'm sure that person's about to call me right back. And but yeah, so in the sense of that mindset, listening and communication is very big.
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, that
Uh-oh,
that
I
was.
can't hear you now.
You can't hear me. Can you hear me
Hello?
now? Hey.
No, I can't hear you. No, 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 no.
Well, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Unfortunately. Oh, you can hear me. Well, that's great. You can hear me all day. I can't hear you for some reason. I don't know. I don't know how this works on this site. This is a new site I got to learn now.
Mm.
Um, I'm scared to hit my earphones because if I hit it, it's gonna hang up.
Yeah.
So
Um, I don't know. I was gonna say scroll and check your
I'm trying to
speaker.
read lips. It ain't working.
I know.
Well, I like to say right now, hopefully I gave you some insight, but I'm having technical difficulties. And if you want to have me on your show again, we can definitely talk about a different topic. I know you can hear me, but I can't hear you. But just above all, I would say uh, treat the youth as you would want to be treated, because it's what we tell them, right? So give them the same respect, um, support them. You have to support them any way possible. Money doesn't mean support all the time. It's not always money. It can be a simple talk. It could be just making them some food, bringing them a snack, or something like that. Giving them a hug, or just sitting there and just let them vent. There's so many ways to support the youth, and that's what helps them academically, emotionally, and mentally. So
Yes.
I know we said, affirmations. I'll go ahead and give my affirmation, you know. Um, and I guess the affirmation I would use to, on a daily basis is, I don't want to pair quote it. I don't have my phrase in front of me, but it comes from a Bible verse. But it's basically, it talks about, you know, whatever you speak, your tongue is just as powerful. And basically, if you speak goodness into the world, goodness will come back to you. Karma is the biggest supporter in the world, but she's also the biggest killer in the world at the same time. So by saying that, make sure you do what you need to do with others, be kind to others, understand that everybody is human, everybody has troubles, and just continue to support each other and help each other, and everything will be fine.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss
Thank
Carter. Yeah, yes, I know that one. Thank you, Miss Carter. Love you, baby girl. Talk to you later, okay?
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, my loves, as always, remember that you are worthy always. You are worthy of educating yourself and educating those around you. I feel like some of us, we have this level of intellect, and so we may be able to communicate something to different individuals that might reach them on a deeper level. And you are worthy of that intellect, you are worthy of that connection, you are worthy of a higher level of education, whether that means going back to school or doing some deeper research, or maybe connecting with some of the stuff that you want to do that you've been thinking about doing. You are worthy of the position that you have been placed in different individuals' lives. So that means yourself, if you're a parent, if you're a student, if there's people who look up to you and they want to learn some of the stuff that you know, or they want to learn, but they're trusting you to guide them through that. You are worthy of that position. You are worthy. You are worthy of healthy financial literacy. You are worthy of a healthy budget, baby, because baby, we just be out here spending, and the reality is we get more when we have that nice budget, and we gain financial literacy. You are worthy of that knowledge, you're worthy of that intellect, and most importantly, as always, you are worthy of unconditional self-care and unconditional self-love. Until next time, my loves, thank you and bye bye. Thank you for watching the Carter Love Talk Show.